Welcome to the Productpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Delarzak, product development and marketing coach and mom of three. Learn from and get inspired by women entrepreneurs killing it in the product space. Each episode, we will share the latest trends, proven strategies, and inside secrets of the product world, all designed to give you greater confidence to create your own success through a product venture. Let's do this. Welcome to the Productpreneur Podcast. Today, we're changing gears and doing something a little bit different. This podcast episode is all about dealing with adversity. Now, I have to warn you, you might shed some tears. I was actually a basket case trying to hold it together during the interview, and I felt really bad for the guest. I think she wanted to give me a tissue through the microphone. But anyhow, today you're going to hear from entrepreneur, international speaker, and author Shannon Hoverson. Shannon, known as Shanny, has experienced much joy and loss in her 40 years. From living in a trailer to supporting her husband to 8 figures. From 8 figures to losing it all again, as she was her husband Mark's 24/7 caretaker during his 4-year battle with neuroendocrine pancreatic cancer. To living her life with full gusto through and after the pain, that others will be inspired by her courage, strength, and determination to also live purposefully until it is their time to move beyond this earth. Shannon's story can be heard on the podcast Ray Higdon, University of Adversity, and Intentional Lifestyle Creators, to name a few. I hope you'll find Shannon's story as inspiring as I found it, and that it helps you deal with your own adversity in business and in life. Welcome to the show, Shannon. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Nicole. It's an honor to be here.
Well, I'm so excited to speak with you. I know that this is a bit of a different podcast where you typically talk about products and product development and launching your products. But today we're talking more about adversity and how to overcome adversity. And Shannon is a shining example of this. So I'm so honored to have you here. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So can you tell us more about your journey to getting to where you are today? What led you to become an entrepreneur and what has happened since? We will talk about this since your late husband's passing.
So what led me to become an entrepreneur, really the story begins with my husband. So to start it, I'll start with the beginning, because without him and his story and our story, I wouldn't be where I am. Because my dream as a girl was to be a homemaker, get married, have babies, serve my husband, serve my kids, my family. And so my husband and I, we go back to, we were college sweethearts, and, took him a little while to wake up. Of course, first time I met him, I was like, I'm going to marry that man. Aww. And it's a fun story. So we were total platonic best friends for 5 years. It just took him a little while to wake up. But I think having that friendship and that foundation it's a sweet part of our story. And so we got married young, we're in our early 20s, had 4 kids in 4.5 years. Wow. And, we started, and so we started off right away, just popping them out. We didn't have college educations at the time. He was a youth pastor. And so the finances weren't there because we were young. We did, just dive into things. And, we lived in a trailer, and he was ready to get our family out of that situation. And so he's always kind of had this entrepreneur spirit in him. Like when he was a little boy, he would sell pig dandelions and sell them at the end of his driveway, anything he could get his hands on to sell, he would. And so, that spirit inside of him came out. And so he entered into the online selling products, whatnot world. And he became, very successful at it, the number 1 entrepreneur in his company. And then he went on to create his own info products. And so I tell that story because, I wouldn't be where I am today had I not helped serve him become who he was in that role. And so really that's where I have it today, is because I helped him become one.
Got it. Okay. So he became an entrepreneur. What was he selling? What were the products?
Yep. The very first product that he sold was a travel club product. And so he actually became the number 1 affiliate for that company and ended up buying the company.
Wow.
And so that was his, so that was his first product. I know that was his first time entering into the world, the market, but that's just how driven he was. He was the type of person, like if he was going to do something, he was going to become the best at it. I mean, he was in high school. I just got a Facebook notification today of the coach that posted the picture 25 years ago today. They won the state championship in basketball. And so it's like, he's got that champion heart. He's got that drive. He's got that oomph to go for it.
Wow. And then he also sold info products. So what kind of info products?
Sure. And so then, there was different crashes, with the housing market, the different years, the 2008 crash, the 2000, whatever that came our way. And so then he went into, so the travel, of course, was not, as popular for people to want to buy and promote. And so then he created his most popular one is, he would teach people how to market, like info marketing blueprint, MLM launch formula. So he taught people how to market, how to launch, but his number one business course is called Solomon CEO. And because he was a youth pastor, so he loved the biblical wisdom and he also loved business. So he combined the two and got to put his two passions together. And that was, really what he's most known for. And so, yeah, those are some of the products that he created, which we can get into me today, but I've kept those products and created a academy where people can access those as well.
Okay, cool. And were these targeted towards network marketers when you said MLM?
Yeah. So, but it says MLM, that's just where they were at the time, but no, I've actually changed the name to Launch Formula. And so really what my husband was a genius at was it's like they're timeless teachings. And so it's more the mindset and the soft skills versus there's some tech skills in there, but it's more, the mindset and the soft skills and so that are timeless. And so people can still use them today. So,
right. Cool.
So anyone, affiliate marketing, it can be someone who has a brick and mortar business. It can be, it doesn't matter. Not necessarily geared towards network marketers.
Right. I did listen to some of his audio. I think it was podcasts or.
Yes. Yeah. Minute with Mark podcast.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. And you're right. They were about different things like sales, mindset, applicable to really anything. And I also noticed that he was very affiliated with Ray Higdon, which is like an amazing person in the MLM industry, and network marketing is also info related products. So really interesting. And so then he got the news that he had cancer. How did you even cope with this? I mean, he was young, right? How old was he?
Yeah. So he was 34 when he got diagnosed.
Wow.
And he was 39 when he passed. And so, yeah, I mean, he was in the height of his, when you're in your late 20s to early 30s, especially as an entrepreneur, I mean, you're just getting your stuff together and getting your ducks in a row. And we still had young kids. Like our youngest was 5 when when my husband was diagnosed. My oldest was 10. And so they were pretty young yet. And so he was just getting into his jive and growing and what the next level was and creating a new business. And, he always said, I don't get sick, I just get cancer. That was like his motto because he was the healthiest person out there. I mean, the way this man ate, the way he exercised, the way he dealt with stress, just everything. He was the healthiest man out there. And seemingly so, hanging out with the 20-year-olds because he created a program called Limitless, which was basically a mentorship program game for, the 18 to 25-year-olds. And so, he would hang with them, play basketball with them, football with them, and was better than most of them, had more energy than most of them. The story of how he got it was we had a couple friends over. Actually, him and his friend were wrestling. And so, it's a young 20-year-old. And so they were wrestling, doing their thing, and he got jabbed in the stomach. Well, he went down, he ended up going up to his room, which was unlike Mark. Pain, whatever, like he never had it. And so he was up in his room like, oh, well, that's a little different. But, I just was visiting with the company, cleaning up the kitchen. All of a sudden, my son, my 10-year-old comes down and he goes, Mom, like Dad's in a lot of pain. Like you gotta go help him. That's when I knew something was going on. And so I went upstairs and, he wasn't even able to get help with his clothes and putting his shorts on and stuff. And I'm trying to convince him like, we got to go to the ER like now. And he's, the strong doesn't need help. Like, no, I'll figure this out. I'm like, no, like we got to go. And so finally convinced him like, we got to go to the ER. And one of our friends helped get him into the car. And I remember him calling all 4 kids. This is when I really knew it was serious because he was in the car and he goes, get all the kids here now. And so we got all the kids rallied and he kissed them all and said goodbye and I love you and all that stuff, because that's when he knew something inside was not right. So we rushed him to the ER. They get him in right away and do their scans, and the doctor comes back and he's just like, shoot me straight, doctor. I don't like, being anything sugar coated. Just tell me what's going on. What's it look like? He's like, I can't tell you for sure because I'm an ER doctor. The, other doctors will have to talk to you, but you have hundreds of lesions on your liver and you have a large one on your pancreas. And so it looks like cancer, but I can't tell you that for sure. And so of course, your world just comes crashing down and you start to cry and you're just like, out of nowhere, there was, it came out of nowhere. Hindsight, we saw little signs, but nothing to make us think this. So
Oh,
Yeah. So you're in shock. At first you're in shock. And Mark being the man that he is, when we officially saw the cancer doctor, he was just like, they gave him 30 days to live. And
wow.
he was they're like, get your things in order. This is the same kind of cancer Steve Jobs had, that type of thing. They're just like, this is fast. You're in stage 4. Like,
Oh,
and my husband would not take it. He was just like, no. He was just like,
yeah.
nope, I'm not going to take this. Yeah. And so he ended up living. He was told he was never going to ski again. He ended up skiing 25 more times.
Oh,
He was told, he'd only live 30 days. He ended up living 4 years longer than they had told him. Continued to build the companies and
okay.
do masterminds and live, and was doing Facebook Lives literally like 3 days before he passed away. And he was skin and bones. I mean, he
Wow.
literally was skin and bones. And Ray Higdon commented on that, when they did a product together, actually, Ray Higdon and Mark. And Ray said, I don't know if I can do that. He goes, I like to think I can do anything. I teach people, no fear, no this and that. He goes, but I don't know. He goes, I don't know if I could do that.
If he could create a product with him, or
if he could do Facebook Lives, skin and bones,
oh,
literally like 3 days before he passed away,
wow.
like to continue being consistent, continually providing value, continually wanting to serve people.
That's incredible. I mean, just that mindset, like really pushing through. And he probably had the most positive attitude out of anyone I could imagine, just to keep going with that. Like, just, I'm sure his body was following his mind, which was telling him, I know I'm going to live. I'm going to live.
100%. I mean, he had such a teacher's heart. It was like, when you have that, you long to teach people, you long to see people grow, and you can't keep that inside. And so that's just who he was. He longed to give wisdom to people and to help them. And so, yeah, he just kept on doing it up until the end, when his body finally said, nope, not anymore. You're done.
So he sounds like, he sounds like a very resilient person. And how did you cope with this at the time? Because I'm sure this was just like the world coming crashing down. Were you also that positive force for him, or did you take it differently?
Yeah, no, I think I was in shock for real. I think having 4 kids and to take care of their mental health, and to make sure that they're still thriving in life with their friends and school and whatnot. And then my husband was like, I was just in the go mode. Right. So for 4 years, I was literally just in adrenaline go mode, like whatever it takes to keep him going, keep him alive, keep him doing what he wants to do, keep the kids doing well, and having that relationship with him as well, and that they're doing well. So it was just go mode. It was just whatever it takes. By the end, I was tired.
Yeah.
4 years of, doctor's appointments and treatments and desires he wanted to do and finish, before he passed away, and that type of thing. It was a lot of work. And so by the end, I got tired, especially when he's skin and bones and there's nothing more, you can do. You're a matter of waiting. Right. So, yeah. So, you're just in go mode. I remember the day we were in 2017 and 2018 is when he passed away. 2017, he was on hospice. And I remember the first time we went into the hospital, and it was just, we weren't ready. Like, it was just not time. It was like, oh my gosh, like, you can't go. Like, and he knew that I didn't want him to go yet, I think he held on because of me, really.
Okay.
And so he came through it. He came through hospice. He was on like a morphine pump. Like, he should not have survived. Like, he should not have, but he did. Again, it's like he came back to, he was like a cat that like had so many lives and kept coming back from the dead. And so, but the last time in 2018, when it was his time, we were in the hospital, and the nurse said, the first time he came through and she's looking at me because he knew you weren't ready. She goes, you're ready this time. And so it's basically their speech they give you before they basically help him pass on, type of a thing. And I remember laying in bed next to him. He's so stubborn. He won't let the drugs take him. And so we're laying next to each other, and I have the Mark and Shannon playlist on, and I knew he wanted to feel the release from me. And so I was laying next to him, and I was just like, Mark, it's okay. Because we were left in a unique financial situation when he left, because it drained us. It was over $1 million in medical expenses and whatnot. And so, it drained us financially. And so he didn't want to leave me in that type of a situation. And so I remember us having a couple of conversations, but at the end I was like, Mark, I'm going to be okay. Just let it go. I'm going to be okay. I'll figure it out. Just go to the light. I'm like, just go to the light. And so literally as soon as I said that, put his hands up once, put him down, put his hands up again, took his last breath. My 3 younger kids happened to walk in with my dad. And so they were able to all come run over, and we all put our hands on his heart. And listen to it just slowly get slower and slower and slower. And then of course, the screams start and the reality of it happening kicks in. And my daughter's like, get the doctor, get the doctor. But it was done. But to be able to be in that moment and experience that together, that's when reality kicks in. It was really not until the funeral was done, because you're still in adrenaline.
Right.
You got the plans, you got the this, that, and the other. So really, once everything was said and done, and he was in the ground and reality kicks in, I'm here without my husband and my best friend, my soulmate. That's when the release comes. That's when the 6 months, I had a routine. I got the kids off to school, came home, and literally would take a shower and then come cry on the floor for an hour, like profusely crying, like just like pain inducing like cries for 6 months straight. But I think that's how I am. In part, that's my story of how I am where I am today, is I allowed myself to heal. You know what I mean? I allowed myself to cry. I allowed myself to, express through Facebook posts, which, and blogging, which eventually I have a book that, it's, about grief and healing and the hope that can come after having a painful, adversity type of a situation. So
that is amazing. And well, first, it's amazing the fact that the human body or the spirit can sort of control when you kind of release. Like, wow, it's crazy. I can't understand how that is possible, but that is amazing that he.
Yeah, I've heard stories, and you watch the movies and you hear, and then when it actually happens to you in real life, to where it was literally in the moment I told him to go, he went.
Wow.
And to see him lift his hands up too, and not just take a last breath, but to go to the light. And it's intense when you see it in real life. So yeah.
And you said the light. Did he describe something to you, or?
He did not. We're believers, and so for us, it's like, you see the light when you pass away, and go to the light, go, be with Christ and whatnot. And he was in a brain coma too, and I remember telling him, I'm like, can you try and just say I love you one more time? Because he could hear everything, he just couldn't speak. And so he tried with all of his might to say I love you twice. I mean, I'll never forget it. I mean, it's etched in my brain. And then he put his hands up and left. And
wow. And it's incredible that it's been only 3 years and you're able to talk about it literally with, I mean, I'm here sitting, I've got tears in my eyes. And I remember when my mom passed, I still can't talk about it without crying. So it's like, it's incredible that you have such strength to be able to talk about it and be open about it and help others. It must be something that drives you, like your husband, to help others.
It really does. And I think that's why I am, I'm still going today. And that's just part of it's to continue what he started, to continue the legacy. When one goes on, and when we were so close together, there was a lot of inner work I had to do with my own self, because I wasn't an entrepreneur. I mean, I, was around him and I helped him with the back side of things. But it was him. And so, I had many moments of just like, what am I doing? Like, no one would blame me if I just stopped. No one would blame me if I just quit and I got a normal job and whatever. Right. But there was a drive in me. There was a pull in me, and it's like, I couldn't ignore it. And so, I just kept following the pull, and like the journey from then until now, like how the companies they were dead. Like everything was dead. Everything pretty much died along with him, because he was the face of it. Right. And then the finances went. So people had to go find other jobs. And so he passed, and I went through my grief. The kids were going through their grief. We're all almost have these different personalities. And so we're going through our own grieving process. I'm figuring out what to do, with the companies, and eventually everything. I ended up I lost everything. So I not only lost my husband and my soulmate, my best friend, I went bankrupt. I lost my house. I lost my car. I lost everything, literally starting from scratch. Wow. But I didn't quit. Even the, people would say in the beginning, just, before that even happened, wouldn't blame me for not continuing. But then all of this happened, and I'm still going. And actually I'm here today. And it's a beautiful thing, because I've written 2 books. One is actually about him, and I've rallied 13 other leaders in the industry, to speak about him and how his wisdom impacted their life. I wrote my own grief book, and rebranded. So losing everything actually helped me step out into who I am, which, before I think I was trying to do it as Mark and keep everything Mark, which is still, it's still an essence of him. But, we got to have belief in ourselves and come out. If we can't, move forward as ourselves, it affects the growth of yourself and the companies. And so actually it was a blessing in disguise because I rebranded, relaunching it, super sexy, things that I've always wanted to do. People have come along my way. I've coached people with their own adversities. So I became a coach, and some of those clients are now helping me grow the business with their different gifts of graphic design. And it's just mind blowing to see all the puzzle pieces come together by not quitting and just setting like, I am not quitting. I am move forward. This is my vision. However that comes, and having the patience while everything is like falling into place. It's interesting to say the least.
So you've been able to turn around that business then since he's passing?
Been able to turn around the business.
Oh,
Yep. It's bringing in monthly income. And the travel company, interestingly enough, that he was the number one affiliate for and had bought, that company actually had died. The travel provider had quit. And so that company just stopped. And I'm like, okay, blessing in disguise, new travel provider came in. I'm actually getting a better deal. I have a better connection with them than I had with the other one. And we're about to launch. So yeah, we've just got all the graphic stuff, marketing stuff in place, and we're about to launch in the next week or two. So
amazing. That is so incredible. Most people would have given up or had found a job or whatever just to cope with, have some regularity, but you just kept going and built his business again.
I think part of it is, I saw what it did for our family. We came from a trailer to, he generated millions. He generated us a very pleasurable life. And I saw that, and I saw the impact that he had on others. And I just think the story can't end there. The story doesn't end there with our legacy, with our family legacy, right? I'm like, so for me to continue on, and by me seeing an impact it had, by me continuing, it's not about me. It's about who can I inspire to keep going? Who's on the edge of wanting to do something? Who's had this adversity, especially with COVID and this, that, and the other, where it's been a crazy, last couple of years. And it's like, if my story by me continuing impacts one person, 2 people, 10 people, it doesn't matter. It's worth it. So
that is such good advice, or just such good learning for anyone who is out there and sort of scared to do something or whatever it is, just to think about what the impact you're going to have on others, and how if you just impact one person, you are helping them, and to get out of your own head. Because a lot of times we get in our own head and we kind of think about ourselves and what if it doesn't work and whatever. But really, once we get out of our own, sort of I don't say self-centered, but it's kind of like looking inward rather than looking inward. It's looking outward and seeing how can we help others? And that brings it to a whole new level of just service and trajectory of what you can do. And it really makes you a more resilient person and stronger in terms of whatever you are, whatever impact you're having.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I could have very easily gotten caught up in I don't know tech. I don't know market. I don't know. Like how, right? And I could have very easily gotten caught up in that and just, oh man, if I would have just focused on that, I would have been done in a heartbeat. But instead I just focused on the future, the vision of what I wanted and how I wanted to help people that were going through some sort of pain or adversity, and inspire them to keep going. And then as I did that, if you just focus on one step at a time, like it's just you hear people talk about this and say it, but to actually experience it and live it, it's like, wow, it really does. Like if you just get rid of the how is this going to happen, and you just focus on what you want, it really does start to fall step by step. And now I've learned like just different things. I mean, I could go into details, like how different things have fallen into place to where I've learned, like, so it's kind of like I start off playing all the roles, right? I'm everything. I'm everybody. I'm the tech, I'm the marketing, I'm the creator, I'm the this. And then eventually that starts to get delegated. Eventually people come in to where they want to follow your vision and they want to help you, and they start taking on those roles. And it's been a fun journey to see that become a reality and start to happen. So
that is so cool.
And I saw it with my husband, but when it's you, when it's actually your life, it's just the impact goes a little deeper, and it's fun.
That's so cool. Yeah. I love getting grounded in vision. And I tell that to my clients or whoever I talk to, is just to get grounded in that vision. Because once you have that that's your why. That's your purpose for moving forward. And things
Yeah.
start to fall into place, as you said. So that's beautiful to hear. And do you think I know you said you were a believer. So do you believe like he's with you and helping you through this? Like, how do you feel connected to him?
Yep, 100%. So it depends on how woo-woo people, what they can take. So if you need to edit some stuff out, you can. But
No, it's all good. It's all good.
But it's interesting because we grew up a certain way. We grew up very conservative Baptist, and then he was a Presbyterian youth pastor, and so you do have different types of maybe a little more conservative views versus just the open-minded spiritual person, right? Well, once he got cancer, it's almost like all that goes down the drain, and you're open to anything. I think you're not just open to it; your eyes are opened to more of what God has to offer and how wide the spiritual world is. And so, yes, I very much believe quarters. So I've received many, many quarters from him. So, sometimes you might hear when people pass away, they'll find pennies. Okay. So a lot of people will find pennies. I said, of course, Mark is not going to just send pennies. He sends quarters. And so like, I'm talking random, like it'll be like, I could be looking at my desk right now. Nothing's here. There's no quarters. There's no nothing. It could be, I look up and I start talking to you. And I would look down and there would be a quarter. Like it's unexplainable. It's just, that's how it's from him. And this is, like I said, whatever you believe or not, that's fine. But I did connect with him. Somebody had reached out to me. And like I said, I was very conservative, like, whatever, but I was also very open and not fearful of entering into things. And so someone did reach out who, is a medium, basically she's medium to me. It can sound like it's evil or whatnot, but she's just a connector. Right. And so everybody has their different gifts and she is able to connect people, in the spirit world. And long story short, if I told you the whole thing, you'd really be blown away, but I knew it was him by the different things he said. She was not a part of she was someone who wasn't connected to us to know us well enough to know what he would say to me or not say to me. And he even told me, he said, I'll be with you and the kids. I'll be watching you guys. And there's just been different things that have happened. Different people who have said they saw, like one time they saw him, with his hand on my shoulder and my other arm, just happy that I was laughing and having a good time. And so I was connected to him through this conversation. My son actually, through a different person, was connected with him who, was a believer herself. And so, and there was different, like, this is how my son knew. I'm like, well, how did, you sure you knew it was dad and all this stuff? And he's like, oh yeah, because the first thing he said was drop and give me 20. And then he just laughed. And the lady was like, no, he's serious. I don't think he's kidding. And so my son, what would happen was, and as they got older, instead of discipline by spankings, it was, drop and give me 20 push-ups. Whoa. And so he had said, drop and give me 20. And so my son dropped and gave him, 20 push-ups. And so I very much believe in life after death. I very much believe that, how much are they involved in their, families' lives? I don't know to the degree that is, but I believe that for sure his presence is here and it's with us. Sometimes it's stronger than other times. My son and we were both on the same page several months ago, just really missing him, feeling like he wasn't with us. His presence wasn't as strong, and that can happen. And, there's a lot of things probably to do in the afterlife. So, all the attention can't be with us, but
it's playing basketball
yeah, exactly. So, but yes, I very much believe he is with us, sometimes more than others. And I think the more we grow and the more we heal, maybe it's a little less and a little more sporadic. The first year for sure, I felt it more and stronger. So,
wow. And what have you learned through this whole process?
I've learned that life is truly a gift and that we can have more than one purpose, because my purpose, I really believe was Mark. It was to serve him. And that was my role. And that was my everything. And so when that got taken away from me, it was like, well, now what? Like this was my role. This was my purpose. Now that my purpose has been taken away, like now what? So to really embrace every aspect of life and to really understand what a gift it is and how your life is a gift to other people if you allow it to be. My story is a gift. Me continuing on is a gift to my kids to show them like I don't quit and I'm going to keep making this happen. I'm going to make this happen, right? And so that's really what I've learned is like you can have more than one purpose in life. You don't have to be stuck on just one, and that your life is a gift and can really be a blessing to somebody.
Beautiful. So. And what did you have to learn in the last few years since his passing? It's been 3 years.
Yeah. Do you mean business-wise or do you mean life-wise or all of the above?
I guess both. Yeah.
Life-wise is to let go. really business and life, to let go. My expectations and my desires with the kids, I'll just specifically being a single parent and not having the structure of two parents, the kids definitely do things and try. I mean, in general, they do as well. I mean, try and get away. It's the teenage years, it's a little more, but my expectations and what I knew we, probably could have had with my husband, and letting go of my expectations of wanting it to be a little more perfect, a little more better, a little more like everybody kind of on par, letting go and like realizing that the struggles and like the maybe negative aspects, of a relationship, how it can be, teenage years, myself, and I'm busy with work. So they're not getting as much attention from me because I'm so busy building this, letting go and realizing that it's going to be okay, that it's okay. And, as long as you love, as long as you are walking in your path of what you're to do and supposed to do, letting go and believing that it's okay. And I really do believe that. I really believe that there's these struggles now, and maybe the relationships aren't perfect, or maybe they're going through tough times or their own interpersonal mental health stuff, but that as long as I continue to love, I let go of the stress, right? Because if I allow my stress to stay calm, the most recent one is just let go, relieve the stress, stay calm, and believe that it's going to be okay. Business and life, I guess they're intertwined in the same. Business, I don't know something, let go. It's not going as fast as I want, let go. Let go, let go, let go, let go. And believe. Let go and believe. And just realize it's going to be okay. It's really, really, here's the thing is if we force anything, whatever happens, whatever we do, it's going to play out how it's going to play out.
Right.
And if you believe it's going to be okay or better than okay, it will. And so just to let go.
That's amazing. I love that. Especially for women, we want to make everything perfect, the home life perfect, our kids, we want to kind of be in control of everything. And I find I do the same thing. And then when I'm cranking away on my business and like things are really crazy, I let part of that go. I let like sort of my kids aside or whatever. And there are times when you've got to do that and you just kind of have to be okay with that. And I think that's important for female entrepreneurs to know that sometimes you're going to spend more time on your business and your kids are still going to be okay. Don't worry about it. Like just keep going and just trust that everything's going to be okay.
Exactly. And it's not going to be a lot of people, even myself included with my own parents and the different views I had of them and how they parented when I was a teenager versus when I was in my 20s and now my 30s and now 40s. It's like, oh my gosh, like the respect level just went zoom for my parents. You know what I mean? I'm like the work they had to put in, the attitudes from myself and my sister they had to put up with, and I'm like, okay, I have way more respect for my parents to hold on to that. The kids eventually, they're going to come around. It doesn't matter if they're in their 20s, 30s, or 40s. Eventually it's, if you just continue to love and follow your path, it's going to be great.
For sure. And what would you say is your superpower?
Really, my superpower, I think, is to inspire others and encourage their gifts that are inside of them. That was my gift with Mark, with my husband, I was his cheerleader. I was his number one cheerleader. And so my superpower is to bring out other people's superpowers, really, and to see them and believe in them more than they do. They start to believe it.
That's beautiful.
And they follow it.
Yeah. And you coach people currently, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a beautiful, beautiful gift to have.
And, and they have such trust in me. I think because, I think the more we don't hide and the more we do share the reality and the truths in our life, it's just like the more that just draws that trust from other people, and they'll go into that healing, like for me, helping people to heal past adversities to grow that confidence, because you got to go deep and you got to go into what have you not healed from, what are you ignoring, right? And so the more you can share and be vulnerable, the more people instantly trust you and will share as well. So for sure. But not a lot of people want to because they're afraid, right? But I think if more people shared, and more people talked about things that were going on, adversities or troubles or stresses, the more they'd realize like, oh, I'm not alone. Oh, you feel that too, or oh, you've seen that, like, okay, they'd feel more at home and more at home on this earth, and more free to be. So
exactly, because you see all the reels and everything on social media and everything looks so like the highlight reels is what they call it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's sometimes just so superficial and you just want to see like what's really happening there and how are you really feeling. So yeah, definitely when you share more and you're more open and transparent, then people will really trust you more. and actually feel like better about themselves too, because maybe they're going through
Yeah.
something similar.
Yep. It's so true.
Yeah, exactly. And what are you currently working on?
So I basically just rebranded and relaunching the brands. And so all of my husband's products that he had created, it's now an all access pass. I wanted to make it as easy as possible for entrepreneurs or business people to have access to his products. And so we have the Hoverson Royal Academy and then also the Royal Travel Club. And so it's all still in the process, but the work is the Royal brand. And so the Academy is the products. And like I said, I wrote a book with Brave Wings She Flies. I'm also creating a course to go with that to help people through their adversity and to move forward. And then the Royal Travel Club, because really that was our lifestyle passport to freedom. To be able for him to create those products, for us to teach our kids different cultures and for us to love each other more, because, when do you have the best sex? On vacation. It helps, it helped with our marriage and our relationships and brought us that freedom and other people freedom. So that's about to launch. And, the Royal Marketplace, Mark had created a bunch of physical products. And so soon in the next, I'm hoping 6 months, that Royal Marketplace is going to be up as well. So,
very cool.
Yeah, it's just kind of an all-in-one package. We'll see a year from now where it's all at.
Perfect. And what would you tell people who are going through some adversity or grief right now? I know you've written a book, but in sort of like, if you had one thing to say, what would you tell them?
The one thing I would say is to feel it and release. Feel it, release, and move forward. Feel it, release, and continue on, because there's hope. Right. There's a story I tell in the book, especially with my kids and going through my own grief and the fighting that happened because they're going through their grief. And I'm having to put my, 12-year-old in a literal lock on the ground and just let him yell at me and say, I wish you were dead too. I wish this sucked. It wasn't anything personal. Right. It was just his grief coming out. And once he was done, he would just cry and then he'd want to hold me. Right.
Right.
To know when you're going through that. And I'm sharing the story because to know that even in your grief, even in your adversity, as painful as it was going to make me tear up, is to feel that pain, actually feel it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Not everybody gets to feel a deep pain. I was actually just talking to my daughter about this yesterday and just saying how I'm very grateful for the pain I've gotten to feel, because not everybody feels like it. She's like, well, don't you always just want to feel happy and just be in that bliss state? And I'm like, well, you can, but I said, then if you didn't feel the pain, that bliss wouldn't feel as great. But going back to, when adversity and grief, whatever you're going through, the pain is so intense. I want to encourage you to keep the hope, because there is the other side. There is the finish line of, you're going to win this and then you're going to move on. Yes, you're going to have more bumps. But the moment I remember I was laying in bed in the morning and my son was getting ready for school, and I could hear the shower going or whatever, because it's below my bedroom. And all of a sudden I heard him singing in the shower. And this is probably about a year after my husband had passed. And I remember laying in bed, tears were just streaming. And, most people, well, what's so great about someone singing in the shower? There's tons of people that sing in the shower. He hadn't sang in the shower for almost a year. And it was the first moment that I heard him singing in the shower, happily. And so I just laid in bed and just tears just rolled down my cheeks, knowing that it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And so not to give up. Really, my big message, who I am, what I represent, is to not give up, not to quit, not give up, and realize that there is hope. And if you don't give up, your next purpose will reveal itself.
Wow. That is beautiful. When you see that in your kids, I'm sure that was just so powerful for you to see that joy come back.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I mean, just a business tip for some people out there who are trying to build their business. Really, a 7-figure business is hard to imagine, let alone an 8-figure business, which I know that you and Mark built.
Yep.
So what would be your top tips for entrepreneurs looking to scale their business?
Delegate. Once you're able to delegate, that's the only way you're going to scale, is to not do everything yourself. Of course, when you're starting by yourself, that's naturally what you are required to do. But as soon as you can, let go of that control and trust other people to help build your vision. Delegate.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a great point, actually, because there's so many people out there like, okay, when is the right time to hire? When is the right time to hire? So when would you say is the right time?
The thing is, you don't even have to hire. Great advice is to really build it, share your vision, grow it on your own. And you would be surprised at how many people want to help you build your vision and will do it for you for free. It's not like and then eventually you can pay them, of course. But I mean, for 30, 60, 90 days, like there's people that'll help you build your vision and understand that you're on the ground level and want to help you. And then you can always, make an agreement once this gets going, whatever. If it's a match, they want to keep working for you, you like their work, you can work something out, but don't necessarily think, and that can stress people out too. And to not delegate thinking, well, I don't have the finances, this business isn't making enough money right now for me to hire someone or to delegate it. Don't overrule people wanting to help you. So once you grow and you get people on your list or you coach people, like a couple of the people that I coach, they're the ones that are helping me right now. Like amazing, found out they have amazing graphic design skills of, great copywriting skills, and they're writing my emails for me, or you know what I mean? And they want to do it for free. They want to build my vision. So don't rule out that people don't want to help serve your vision for free for a while, just to help you get going. So that helped relieve a lot of stress on my shoulders to understand that.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I don't think people even think about that. There are resources out there that will help you for free, or like when you think about it, you can really get creative, look for interns, kind of look for people who are looking to learn or whatever, or even trade services. So that's a great point. Well, thank you so much, Shannon, for sharing all of your advice. And I'm sure that you brought so much inspiration to so many people out there who are going through some tough stuff. And so thank you for being here on the podcast, but for all that you do to help other people. So where can people find you and find all of your products and services?
Absolutely. So the best place is to go to hoversonroyalacademy.com, and that's Hoverson, Hoverson, Royal, ROYAL with an E, royalacademy.com. The Facebook group, really the free Facebook group, which is on that website. Join that free Facebook group and then you'll get connected. You'll see me talk, speak. We'll get you figured out and help you. So
perfect. Awesome. Thank you again. And good luck with everything. And if there's anything we can ever do to help you, please reach out.
We'll do it. It was an honor to be on here. Appreciate you. And look forward to listening to it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to the Productpreneur Podcast. If you loved this episode, we'd be so grateful if you could take a sec to subscribe, share it, and review it on Apple Podcasts. Your review will help more women build their own dream product business. By the way, if you have any feedback, comments, or questions, email me at info@nicoledelarzac.com. Until next time, keep dreaming up those product ideas.